Welcome to the Dice Tower, episode number 4. This show, originally recorded May 25th, 2005, is part of our classic series, in which we look back at older episodes of the Dice Tower with better sound quality and comments. This week's episode of the Dice Tower is brought to you by Guerrilla Games, publishers of Battle Stations, the game of heroic starship adventure, and Jeff Syedek's Lifeboat, the card game of survival at sea. For more information, go to www.battlestations.info. And now, here's your host, Tom Vassell.
All right, folks, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you along this week, especially after the really bad audio quality in the last 10 minutes of last week. My apologies about that. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong, but by the time I realized what had happened, it was too late. Well, this week we're going to be listening to Episode 4. And Episode 4 was the first time that we finally kept the name Dice Tower, and we still were very unsure of our format for the show at this point. And you can tell that because this is quite possibly the longest question session that we've ever had in any show. And this continued for a little while. The questions were interesting, and they let us go off into different types of topics, but really, you know, we needed some more structured format. And so as the show went by, we eventually grew into a format that's very structured, and that's where we are today. And we still have our banter back and forth, but I don't really want to have 45 minutes worth of questions in every show. However, people did send us back then a lot of questions, and I wish we got as many today as we did back then. This was a show in which we decided that we would talk about the games from quote-unquote the other side that we liked, where I would talk about my war games and Joe about his Eurogames that we liked. Probably our characterizations of these games were pretty bad at this point in time, and even you'll hear in this episode we're talking about Shadows over Camelot, kind of in we started playing it, you know, and we hadn't even gotten a trader in the game that we played. Well, things certainly changed after that. We certainly rave about the game now. Well, without further ado, let's get to the show. Episode number 4. Well, hello, welcome to the Dice Tower. This is Tom Vassell speaking.
Joe Stedman over here.
And if you notice, for all the people who said they didn't like our music, we shortened it.
We didn't get rid of it. I can't talk Tom out of it.
Well, maybe you could talk us out of it if you gave us a better piece of music.
A homemade song, right?
Yeah, I went to a site where you could make your homemade sounds, and I got confused after about 5 things of clicking.
Well, let's thank Game Fest this week again.
Yes, this is the Dice Tower, and my name's Tom Vassell and Joe Stedman. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm Joe Stedman, thanks.
I'm Joe Stedman's sidekick, and we're here from the Dice Tower, which we actually have now kept 2 days in a row.
Two episodes.
2 episodes, sorry.
Ooh.
So roll them dice. But we do like the name, and we're going to keep it for at least a while. We have a new logo. I had a little logo contest on Board Game Geek, and Joe and I...
A lot of good entries.
We did, and we finally picked one, and we're going to put it on T-shirts and business cards and stuff.
Yeah, so if you want some Dice Tower merchandise, just let me know, man. I can create it. I'm in Korea.
That's
in Korea,
true.
They can create anything.
It is a lot easier to get business cards and such stuff
we just
made
found
here.
that out today. But our show, it's great. I want to thank Rick for giving me the credit for that article today. Gorn Thrawn. That's my werewolf name, Rick.
Well, maybe he knew that and thought it was
I don't
funny.
know. I think he didn't notice.
Well, that's why I never changed my name to something stupid.
You think Gorn Thrawn is stupid?
No.
Do you like my new picture?
Well, me and Joe are all excited. Yeah, it's okay. Me and Joe are all excited. Tomorrow we are going to see Star Wars. I know it's been out in America for a week, but it's only been out here in Korea.
Yes, but we're excited, and you better not tell me what happens, because I'm really hoping against hope that Anakin can stand up and stay with the light.
And maybe, just maybe, he'll kill the Emperor.
I'm hoping so.
Right, and then...
But we're going to the biggest, I'm not really sure if it's the biggest, but it's probably one of the nicest movie theaters in all of Korea. It's at the place called Coex. It's a shopping mall, and it got a nice, American style theater with the nice seats and the surround sound and all that. So we're all going down. Not all of us. There's like 5 of us going. We're going to make a guy day out of it. A guy night. A guy night, yeah, because we're seeing the late show. And
but,
so,
yeah, we're pretty excited about that. And I think there's a Star Wars question later on. We got a lot of questions this time, which is nice. Gives us a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about, and we're also excited because we're getting ready to go to Origins. Well, not getting ready, but I mean soon.
So Joe, what's new with you?
Well, school's almost over.
Woohoo!
We're both teachers, as you probably know, and we're in the final closing weeks of school, and so that means we have more free time than normal because teachers don't do anything, and so we've got. And so any students that are listening to us right now, we're joking. Okay?
Right. We do a lot, which is why I haven't been able to get it. I only got out one review in the last week. I'm just so busy at school.
Yeah, grading papers and getting ready for these exams and reviewing for the exams and all this stuff. But I'm looking forward to this summer. Huh?
Yeah, Joe is going to be going on furlough.
Yeah, I'm going back to the States for a while to see the family and friends and do some preaching and visit some churches and go to Origins, of course.
Of course, and we will, and we still have that Origins show coming up. We will.
Yeah, definitely.
We don't want to play it until
we'll give our scoop.
We're closer to Origins. Well, we're just gonna give our opinions and things you should see. Maybe our top 10 list that week will be the top 10 things to go do at Origins.
We're by no means experts on Origins. We're just a couple of guys who like to play games, and we're going to give you our opinion, right?
I think so.
Because it's only my second Origins, so I mean.
Oh, it's your third.
My third. I guess that's right. It's my third Origins. Thanks very much.
You're a pro now.
I'm a pro. I'm a three-timer. So we have a good time.
We had a good week of playing games.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that one game we played by Steph and Dora by Game Right. The Sink or Swim, was it? Something like that? I guess I could look it up on.
It must not have been too good if I can't remember.
It was one with the sheep. You liked it, actually.
The sheep? The one that reminded me of David and Goliath.
Well, why did it remind? Oh, because of the weird scoring.
The weird scoring. It was a card game.
I'll have it up in a second.
See, if Tom would just be prepared ahead of time.
Well, also, we just yesterday played Shadows over Camelot.
Yeah, that was an interesting solitaire game.
Solitaire?
Oh, come on. I want to give it a try.
I think you would have liked it better if you had.
We got our tails kicked.
Yeah, we did. It was really sad.
I read on the Board Game Geek how everyone's saying how easy it is.
I didn't read anyone saying that it was easy.
Well, they didn't make it sound like we were going to get our tails kicked.
Well, if I had this game last week, it would have probably gone in my top 10 games of production. It's a really beautiful game. I think it's pretty cool. We're going to try it again. We're going to try to get more players. Hopefully get a trader in there, because to me that makes the game extremely interesting.
Tom's going to pay me geek gold because I'm going to paint his figures for him.
Yeah, I would have kind of liked the figures have been painted, but I understand that you can't have everything. Well, maybe I can.
And just to clear up a statement I made last week while we're on this, I was joking about sending things to China because in China is where a lot of the board game companies send their bits to get produced and to get painted. Games or like HeroClix and all these things, they all get sent to China. So that was by in no means a racial thing or anything like that. It was just me talking about something I knew about games being produced. Anyway, well,
I can't find the name of this game here. I'm just going blank. Maybe it's not even on Board Game Geek yet. It is.
You are a reviewer. Maybe it's a review copy.
Well, it is a review copy, but I just assumed. Well, anyway, it was a fun game made by Game Right, and it was by Steph and Dora.
It was about sheep. Go figure.
Maybe I can do an advanced search for Steph and Dora and
German
Game Right.
games and farm animals. I don't know.
Well, anyway, we got a lot of questions this week, so we better get into that.
Yeah, we got a lot.
We have a bunch of ponderings and questions from someone named Walt O'Hara.
He's quite the prolific guy over on Consim World, so all you board game geek people, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go look him up. He's the very top. If you go to the blogs, he's the very top blog, and he's a pretty funny guy.
Well, he's one of the 10 people who listen to our show. So
11.
We're always
my wife listens, and so.
Yeah, we actually have a couple students listening who's actually said we were boring.
Yeah,
so,
boring old teachers.
Either way, so Joe, why don't you read the first?
I'll read the first one. I'll just get right into it. It says, first question. At one point, you ponder why more women, specifically wives, aren't eager to visit a game convention. A word to the wise. The secret is the generating a win-win situation. I faithfully attend HMGS, each minister's convention, and run. He talks about how he runs it, and he does this, and he turns it into a family vacation. So it says the next time I'm in Columbus, don't try to drag Mrs. Stedman along to the convention to play games. That's your basic win-lose situation. Instead, look around for nearby outlet malls, museums, child-friendly attractions, and try to create a situation to where there's something for everyone's interest. That way your kids are happy, mom is happy, and dad looks like the hero. What do you think of that, Tom?
Well, I think he's right to a degree. I think Laura would enjoy going to a game convention for maybe the first
for the
hour
day,
and a half.
Maybe I could probably get my wife Monica to do a day.
I think that she would get tired of doing the same thing all the time. And also, I don't know if she would like some of the people she'd meet.
Like the CCGers.
Well, with respect to all people who
Or the
play
LARPs.
CCGs.
Or the LARPs.
I can't give them respect.
But what would we do with our 3 twerps? Because I know we each got 3 kids. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, when they're older, Melody's already starting to ask about games. I found the name of that game. It's called Turn the Tide, and the reason I couldn't find it was because it was by its German name, which we will talk about later. It was called Land Unter. It's from 2001.
You got to say it like a German then.
I apologize.
Land
I have no
Unter.
German accent. Well, Walt O'Hara continues, and it says, the game that Crocodile Pool Party, this keeps coming up here, is based on is...
another German. Die Ritter Schwein winnen kann.
Or Every Man for Himself. Rhett is a game themed around leaky rowboats trying to row ashore before the leaks sink individual rowboats. I played it for the first time at PrezCon in February, and with the right crowd, it's hilarious. I was inspired enough to create a miniatures version themed around pirates called Every Pirate for Himself. I may run this at Historicon. You might try to get your second banana. Who's that?
I don't know.
My goodness. To give it another chance in the rowboats version, but only if you can get a group of 5 or more to play.
5 or more.
After reading this, I just have the feeling that we're not talking about the same game.
Maybe we need to see if he's...
Crocodile Pool Party is a 2-player, boring, abstract game. He says with the right crowd, it's a party game. 2-player, 5-player. I mean, his game sounds interesting.
Yeah, the original name, Every Pirate for Himself. That's pretty original there. She'd be like, "Arr, matey."
I don't know. I think we're talking about different games, Walt.
All right,
look up my review and read what I wrote about the game, and maybe we're talking about the same game. But if we did, they
have different rules anyway.
They changed a lot of things.
All right, next question he says is, lastly, here's a pondering, not an editorial comment. All right, I have generally snapped up low-end, low-priced Euros like the old Blue Box series, Fantasy Flight, Silver Line, and Da Vinci's tiny bang size line. Mostly this is because they play fast and my kids like them, or they make good party games. However, I admit to having some nostalgia for the great old days of micro games. This was a brief flurry of activity that took place in the early 80s where companies like TSR, Task Force Games, Metagaming, and Dwarf Star were making a series of great little games, mostly war games. Amen. In fact, I actually
have one of those.
Do you? All right. That fit generally 11 by 17 hex map, had a small cutout. We're basically talking about Ogre and things like that, right? Yeah, okay. Let me skip it. All right. Yeah, games like Ogre, GEV, Illuminati, Car Wars. Okay. Games that fit in your pockets and that were almost disposable. I guess, Tom, you would say they were disposable, wouldn't you?
Well, when I said I have it, I don't know if I still do.
It's interesting that, adjusted for inflation, many Euro lines emulate this marketing niche of low-cost, entry-level games, but war game companies seem to have given up on the idea of cheap, entry-level games. I'd be interested in seeing your comments. Well,
we're going to have to, edit his questions from now on.
Yeah, dry mouth here. No, last week I did a review on Sergeants on the Western Front. It's $6.95. How is that not cheap?
Well, I think he means more along the lines that it's not a common thing.
No, maybe it can be. Come on, Walt, why don't you make some games for us?
Well, maybe war games are just meant to be usually on a grandiose scale.
I think Grognard's on Board Game Geek. I think he's designed like 500 games.
He always says he has designed something.
Come on, Grog. Why don't you sell some of these games?
You think he listens to us? Because I don't know if we can talk in blue and bold and italicized all at the same time and just talk for.
Why are you giving Grog a hard time, man? He gave me Geek Gold today. Thank you for the Geek Gold, Grog. I don't even know why he gave it to me, but I'll never forget it. I'll always cherish it.
Grog, you still amaze me. I don't know. I still think you're made up.
We did miss you for quite a while. I was really nervous. I was thinking about trying to find your real name. Maybe you had a heart attack or something. I didn't know. It was weird going to the Geek Chat without him being there. Oh, and by the way, it's at 9 o'clock Korea time at night. I'm on Geek Chat right now, and there's no one there. So if you ever want to be like a live guest on Geek Chat, on the Dice Tower, you could just go to Geek Chat. So I'm not really sure what time it is in your time zone.
If Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, so hey, Tom, see, he's the math teacher. I don't have a clue.
Oh, I just call my parents and my friends and my
I don't have
people
friends.
In America.
I don't have friends.
Well,
it's really confusing me in werewolf games because they always say Zulu time, Eastern time, Pacific time, Central.
Zulu time?
Zulu time, that's the one I'm in now. Why I am not a Sith, just so you know.
Well, I think that's the end of the Walt O'Hara thing, isn't it?
All right, yeah. No, there's a PS. It says, P.S. Tom, don't go all pouty about the sidekick thing. I'm just funning you. War gamers like you too.
I don't think that's true. I don't think wargamers like me. But
I don't think war gamers even care who you are or know who you are. Tom who?
Well, Joe doesn't even care who I am. I'm only here because he needed two people.
Yeah, I wanted to do the talk show for a long time, and so that's why I moved to Korea and became your friend. It's all a ploy.
We had a question from Adrian PEH from Board Game Geek, and he basically asked us how we included board games in our ministry. And we talked about this a little bit in our first episode, but I'll let Joe tell about his thing some more.
Well, we both do things with board games, but I do my board games just as a way to good, clean, fun, that doesn't involve drinking and going out and goofing around down in the Ville, because that's what a lot of soldiers like to do. And so I'll invite them over to play a lot, like Access and Allies or not, like Risk or not. It's got recognition, name recognition, and these guys know the name. And so I'll meet a guy dressed in camouflage, so obviously he's a soldier, and I'll just start small talking with him. I'll ask him about Access and Allies or Risk, and they'll always know how to play. They'll always ask about it, and I invite him over, and we use the board games as a way to get to know these guys and build relationships and get them out of the bars. And once I get them into my house, they see my game collection, and we usually evolve from Risk or Access and Allies into better games.
And I'm not very good with the military guys. I never was in the military, but I do have better connections with maybe couples or people. In fact, like this coming Saturday, we have a get-together at church with some people, come over and play games. One guy in particular, he said, I heard you like board games. I said, well, a little. And he said, well, my favorite game is Risk. And I said, well, I have many games that I think are better than Risk. I'm trying not to be too much of a snob towards other games. And that he keeps asking me now because that one comment intrigued him. He just is interested about games that are better than Risk, which for me is pretty much most of them. But I understand that some people like that game.
I mean, board games really, really are a ministry tool because it's just you wouldn't believe how effective it's been for me getting to know these guys. It's been a big draw, and it's great. It's good times, man. I think Greg, I never could pronounce his last name. Schlesinger. He also uses games a lot at church, and I think that's what Tom does a lot too, is at church.
And there's also Pastor Mark Jackson from theswitchingyard.com. Okay, we have a couple questions from someone whose name I forgot to write down, but they asked us about Shadows of Camelot. We already talked about that. I liked it. Joe's kind of a...
I want to play it again because it wasn't a lot of fun for me. It was just... I'm not really big on these everyone's in the same team games.
Oh, you forgot Days of Wonder might be listening.
Hi, Days of Wonder.
Tell them how great the game was.
Hey, they didn't send me a game, all right? I don't have to like it.
No, Anyway, I really did think it was a pretty cool game.
No, I give credit to the bits, and it's got great artwork. It's really nice. It's pretty. But the game itself, I got to try it again because it just left me hanging. I don't know.
I think you're just mad that you lost.
Oh, come on.
Well, we all lost.
We got stomped. How fun is that?
Here's a question for Joe from the same person. Have you played the card game Blue versus Gray?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like ACW games? What is that? A Civil War?
It's the American Civil War, my hero friend.
Yeah, I knew that.
What is your favorite? All right, let me get back up here. Blue versus Gray is a neat game. It was kind of fun. I couldn't get anyone to play it with me, and I actually traded it away for some other games that I knew that I could get people to play. But it was a nice game. It was pretty simplistic. I love Civil War games. I think my favorite Civil War game is probably House Divided, just because it's so simple that I can get people to play. The big monster Civil War games, Terrible Sword and all, there's so many that I like that I have played. That if I'm gonna play a monster game, I like the World War II genre better. So Civil War games, I like to keep it simple, and I really like House Divided. I mean, simple enough.
What's your name, scumbag?
That means to shut up?
No. I'm running out of time to put that in. Someone said they liked that clip, so we had to play it again. Hey, Shin Yu, our good friend, who we're actually going to meet tomorrow to play games with.
Shin, my buddy.
And he wrote us and said that he was flattered, and he wants us to know that there are many other Korean gamers trying hard for the rest of us, translating rules and making card paste-ups, etc. And that's true.
Yeah.
But I still think Shin's top of the
Shin's
line.
a top dog, man. He's so modest.
He also says there is a small but enthusiastic group of wargamers in Korea. So far, the mainstream war games in Korea have been those from GMT Games, mainly because a small dose was imported by some online stores.
Very wise.
Games like Passagory or Barbarossa de Berlin also have dedicated followers. Columbia Games is another war game company that's popular here.
Yeah, it's growing.
Joe, you need to hook up with these people.
I've been trying, but playing it, you can play a Euro game with a language barrier, but try playing a war game with a language barrier. That's a little tricky there.
That's a good point, and I think we should talk about that sometime. I just think it's neat that you can play a board game. Many board games you can play with someone who does not speak your language, and you can usually get along pretty well.
Yeah.
Even auction games, we played a Chinatown one time, which is a heavy negotiation game with Shin and his wife, and his wife at that time, her English wasn't that great, but we still had a pretty good game.
Yeah.
And so I was just impressed.
He mentioned Columbia Games. Let me give a little credit to Columbia Games. That's a good company. They really, at one point, they donated some games to my ministry with the soldiers, and their games have been well used, and it was a great donation. And when some of the companies weren't, and I really appreciate that. And hey, I look forward to seeing them again this year. They're good operation, good games.
This show is sponsored by Guerrilla Games, publishers of Battle Stations. Battle Stations integrates ship-to-ship and boarding action in space. It's part board game, part miniatures game, and part role-playing game, but it's all fun when you play this hi-fi, sci-fi hit from Guerrilla Games. Battle Stations. Are you a hero? Check it out at www.battlestations.info.
Shin asked a question. It says, there has been a debate in the Korean gamer community over whether the cardboard paste-ups made with scanned images of board games should be allowed or not. Some say they are indispensable in the current situation where Korean market is still too small for the major companies to pay attention to or produce Korean versions. Others claim that they are copyright violations, making it easy to copy and reproduce the whole game without buying one. So what he's basically saying is people are making sometimes whole copies of all the cards in the game in Korean so that people can paste them onto their copy, but that unethical people can go on, print out these, and play the game without actually buying it.
Sure. But that kind of is a big question because there's people who do that right now in English who don't need to do that.
It was interesting.
Home-produced games and things, that's just wrong. Sorry.
I think this comes back to what Eric Hodemont said. He's the president of Days of Wonder. Joe and I were talking to him, and he said he ran a software company that made some pretty expensive software. And we asked him, did software pirates concern him? And he said that they didn't because anybody who was going to steal the game from them wasn't planning to buy it from him anyway. And so they didn't lose any money. But that if the people who were going to buy it actually bought it. So maybe that's the same thing with a board game. If someone's going to go to all that work and scan and do a game, were they ever going to buy the game in the first place? So I don't see that the company lost any money.
It's still wrong.
Oh, I'm not condoning it. I just don't think it's that big of a problem. I don't think that you shouldn't put up the scan-ons and internet because of these people. How's that?
Right. I remember one time a while ago, a guy put up a geek list of all the games that he had self-produced. Do you remember that geek list?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I was just like, I was rolling my eyes. I mean, come on, man, this is horrible. Why does he just? I mean, if he owned the game and maybe I just didn't read it right. Did he own the game and he was just making an extra copy?
I don't think so. No, I think he actually made the games himself.
See, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought so too.
These board game companies are so small as it is. Every game counts, man.
Look, I was a poor pauper in college, but if I really wanted a board game, I would scrape together the money and buy it.
No, in college you were too busy spending your money on CCGs.
Yeah, well,
I
mean, I could have bought board games. Anyway, so I don't think it's a copyright violation to put it up. If the company specifically asks you not to do so, I think
it
I
would be a
obey
copyright violation. How would it not be a copyright violation?
Well, it's all over the internet. There's English translations of German games, English paste-ups. I use them all the time.
Oh, the paste-ups.
He's saying.
Yeah. Okay.
We need these paste-ups on the internet for people in different languages.
For war games, a lot of times it's hard to get counter scans because you're missing one counter and you're trying to figure out which one it is, and so you're looking around the internet for a counter scan. You got to kind of do it like top secret style because you don't want to get in trouble. And anyway.
Well, that's a good debate. Send us your comments on that. We'll read them next time on mine. On the air.
Or just tell us in person tomorrow. Shin.
All right. Shin also says, I know you two are not big fans of abstract strategy games, especially Tom, with his enthusiasm for themes. Even so, what's your favorite abstract strategy game?
Oh man, I should have read these ahead of time.
Well, I did read it ahead of time, and I still can't think of one.
But abstract strategy game, that's like every Euro game, so just pick one.
No, and I wanted to say Through the Desert, but it actually does have a theme. Even though that theme is thin, it has a theme. I think he's saying a game that does not have a theme.
You mean like the little disc games or whatever they're called?
Zerts.
Zerts. Got a cert.
You know, I do recall writing a few reviews recently about abstract strategy games. I remember writing one on a game called Roundabout, and that was a okay game. I mean, a good game, but I wasn't thrilled. It was good. I don't know what my favorite one is.
I don't know. Is Can't Stop? Is that an abstract strategy? It's not really.
No.
That's not really. That's a whole different category.
See, someone else wrote and said, could you do a segment in your show about traditional games? Traditional games are okay. It's just that now, ever since I've discovered these themed games and cool games, they just don't really interest me that much.
Why don't we just do a show on defining different types of games? Because when you say traditional game, abstract game, Euro game, war game...
He gave examples of traditional games.
Like Monopoly?
Well, I think he included Monopoly, although I don't know if that's a traditional game, but he talked about chess and Go and Othello and checkers and
But people say chess isn't even
poker.
An abstract strategy game according to some people.
He's a traditional
Traditional
games. No, I know, but chess is abstract. Whatever. You want to call it a war game.
I don't know what I'm calling. I'm just saying I know what people have said.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. That was me. Shin, I'm sorry. This is a question we'll have to think about. Maybe we'll do our top 10 abstract games.
That would be interesting.
If I could even find 10 that I like. But I do know that I like the one where you turn the timers over in the GIF series. I forget which one that was. That was interesting. And I do like a good game of Othello.
How about Memoir 44?
All right, let's move on. Memoir 44. Oh, that's the next question there. He says he wants to know what gamers think of classics like chess. All right, let's just go through these. We'll give him a die roll because we're the dice tower. All right,
go ahead.
Chess.
What rating do I give it?
What die rolls 1 to 6?
2d6 or 1d6?
Let's do 1d6.
1d6, I give chess a 5.
Really? You like it that much?
I do like chess.
I'm going to give it a 4. I personally don't think the world of it, but I know it's a great game for teaching logic.
It's just just because I know there are people that can beat me, no matter how good I play, I still like it. And that's why you don't like it.
I don't like the fact that if I play someone who's really good, I can't win. I know someone wrote and said...
You can win if you cheat.
You could win if the other person was having a really bad day and you had a stroke of luck, but that's just stupidity. Backgammon.
Backgammon?
Have you ever played it?
Yes, I have when I was a kid. I didn't like it. I roll a 1.
I'll give it a question mark, because I don't think I've ever played it. And if I did, I have no desire to play it.
Really? You've never played backgammon?
I don't think so. Maybe. How about Go?
I like Go, I'll roll a 5 on that one. I want to learn it more. I want to understand it more, but I don't think I'm smart enough to understand it.
I have to roll 2 different dice here. For the actual how good the game is, I'll give it a 5.
Go is a crazy game because, a lot of you guys maybe don't know this. In Korea, we have a Go channel. 24 hours a day.
7 days a week.
You can watch Go, and it's just a big Go board. They hang it vertically, and vertically, and you just sit there and watch these grandmasters play Go, and then they teach sometimes, but usually it's just it gives
pretty
me
impressive.
a headache. Our friend Bob is really good.
Yeah, that's my second die. It's a 2 because as much as every time I play it, I'm fascinated by it, but it blows my brains into little pieces of mush inside my head, and I fizzle out and die.
If I play like on a 4x4 board, I'm okay. Like 4 inches by 4 inches.
All right, checkers.
I hate it. Roll a 0.
I'll give it a roll of 1 because it maybe at one time was interesting for me. It's just not interesting.
It was interesting to me when I was in first grade.
Othello.
A 2. It's like Dumb Down Go.
Oh, I don't know that. I give it a 3 because it's a fascinating game to play against a computer, but I feel that it's solvable.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's that. So some people avoid these games like the plague, and I don't understand why. This is from Jesse.
Excuse me.
Why do people avoid these games? I would just say they found games with theme and that many people just are naturally attracted to theme, even if it's thinly pasted on.
It's just like I was told that theme is a mnemonic device. Right? Is theme a mnemonic device, or is it really important?
I think it's important. In fact, I think that's one of our upcoming top 10 lists is the top 10 games chock full of theme.
Chock full
of theme.
Chuck Norris full?
All right, this is from Steve. Steve says, I was amazed at how long you've been living in Korea. 4 and
3.
4 and a quarter and well, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway.
How long are you planning on living there? Oh, okay, Joe.
Until 2072.
He might beat me because we have a range from 2061 to 2099. It all depends on how long I live.
Can we spiritualize this question? Is that allowed? Will people be upset with us if we do?
Well, we're going to do it anyway.
We're here. The Stedman, my family, are here until the Lord brings us out.
I agree, and that is the way I feel. God has called us here to Korea. That's where I am right now.
Yeah, we couldn't be happier. Sure, my wife misses her family. Both my parents have passed away, and so other than my sister, I got a brother too, but other than my brother and sister, there's not a lot for me back in America. But my wife misses her family. And sure, we'd love to go back, but God has us here, and we're having a good time. The kids are happy, got a nice place to live.
And then Steve says, I saw pictures of the game collection. I assume he's talking about mine from GameFest.com since he emailed me.
Probably.
And he says, how did you get all those games out there, and how do you plan on getting them back, assuming that you even are planning on coming back?
The Pony Express.
Well, the way I got them out here is I just had them shipped over. It took a while. I brought almost no games with me when I came to Korea. I bought a few here.
I had more games in Korea at one point than you did when we first became friends.
Yeah, someday we'll tell you the story of our drive to.
I was walking down the street and
out by each other.
I knocked him unconscious, and then I dragged him back to his house.
Well, how do I plan on getting back? Let's say I went back to America. What would I do? I think I would do what Joe did when he came.
Yeah.
And that's buy a big container.
Yeah, well, I didn't buy a container. I had them shipped in a container.
Right.
Yeah, just like a shipping company. But, we get games mailed here, and the shipping is a lot more expensive.
Extremely expensive.
And so it makes it hard, especially when you're looking for, like for me, being in ministry, I'm trying to get some games donated, and a lot of people are willing to donate a game, but then the shipping price, scares them away. And then there's people, Tom with his review games, it makes it hard for the small game companies.
Some companies don't send me review copies or what have you because of the shipping, and I understand that. It isn't too bad if they ship slow boat, but then sometimes it takes 2 months for us to get a game.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for some trades on Board Game Geek.
I'm still waiting for that.
The guy, one guy emailed me the other day. Oh yeah, that one book. Yeah, don't mention the name.
Yeah. Anyway, so if I did come back, that's probably what I'd do. If I had to leave in a hurry for whatever reason.
War, maybe nuclear war.
Anyway, if I had to leave in a hurry, I'd grab.
The DMZ. How far is the DMZ
I'd grab Cosmic Encounter.
25 miles.
I'd grab Cosmic Encounter and Duel of Ages and run. Hey, speaking of Cosmic Encounter, here's a public service announcement for any publisher listening. The license for Cosmic Encounter is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Peter Latka, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who is the designer, who owns the rights. They left Hasbro. Hasbro no longer has the rights to it. Come on, some company out there.
Yeah, make a deluxe version with all the cards, up to 8 players.
Make the expansions. Come on. We need
I will
Cosmic.
buy it. I'll even P500 that baby.
GMT is not going to get the rights to
Come
that.
on, GMT, you're a good company. Wouldn't it be great with one of these war games? L2, multi-man. Well, not multi-man. L2, you can do it.
Yeah, well, some guy named Chuckster, he listened to our thing last week where we talked about Catan games, and he gave us one, so go ahead.
Where's it at here?
It's the very last one.
Okay. Interesting ideas for new Catan games. Here's another one. Kill Dr. Robber. Everybody hates it when the robber lands in their best property, right? And he always seems to land there with the worst possible time, right? So kill Dr. Robber. In the midst of buildings and exploring, players try to find the robber's secret hideout so they can kill him. Next time he tries to move on a 7, but he's sneaky. Players have to avoid being seen by other players as they do this. What do you think?
Right.
I still wouldn't play it.
Considering Joe hates Kill Dr. Lucky.
Oh, man, that's one of the first games that we played together, Tom, where I just refused to finish, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? That's one of those really bad game experiences. I remember I played it with Joe and his wife and a few other, maybe 3 or 4 other people, and we played, and I never saw so many people deliberately try to get Dr. Lucky to be killed by someone else.
I can remember the game. I wouldn't play a card,
No one would play the cards.
And so Dr. Lucky just died.
Dr. Lucky died.
A 10-minute game of Dr. Lucky, right?
No, I think it was shorter than that.
Oh,
I never saw so many people quit in the game at once.
That game deserves the company title it has.
All right. These questions are from Jack Herbert. He first his comments. He says, have you considered changing the name of the show every week just to be different? Which, because our first 3 shows, first we called ourselves the Tom and Joe Show, then we called ourselves Panzers and Pieces, and then the Dice Tower.
I still like Tanks and Tiles, but Tom don't like it.
Well,
just for you, you can tell yourself that we called it Tanks and Tiles this week.
Okay, but really, I think we're gonna stick with the Dice Tower now that we have the logo.
Yeah, we had cards
and
made.
and we made business cards today, so I think we'll stick with that.
And we got a really good logo. Wait till you see it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I might post it on the internet.
Yeah.
That Dice Tower. He also talked about sequels of movies that were better than the original, and so he said Aliens.
Ooh, I give him. He's right. Aliens. Aliens is better than Alien.
I have not seen Aliens, so
You've never seen Aliens?
I didn't like Alien.
Aliens is nothing to do with Alien. It's totally different. It's like Space Marines from 40K taking on the aliens. It's really good, man.
He also said Terminator 2.
Oh. Terminator 2's got great special effects.
I don't know what to say. Spider-Man 2? Definitely. He's right. I should have said that. I really like Spider-Man 1, but 2 was
Spider-Man 2 was like
better.
watching a comic book. I liked it.
Yeah, it was really good movie. I'm excited about Spider-Man 3. X-Men 2?
I disagree there.
I do too. I liked X-Men 2 better, but I can't say it was better because X-Men 1 needed the time to build the backstories. Except Magneto's helmet was dorky. It was dorky.
Yeah, it was pretty dorky.
His third comment, he says, for admitting to not liking Eurogames, Joe likes an awful lot of Eurogames.
I'm out of the closet.
My goodness.
Oh, come on. I mean, that's the majority of the games that I play. There are good Euro games, German games, whatever you want to call them. It's just that I would say the majority of the gamer games I don't like. I think they're a waste of an hour.
Well, now he has some questions. He says, you guys are both teachers, as am I, and you run a game club, as do I. Do you find yourself having to address issues of good sportsmanship? If so, how do you do it?
John Q.
Punch him right in the face. Do you discuss it as a group or pull the students aside?
Why don't you answer this, because I know that you've actually had an incident.
Well, I have to actually state, first of all, and you may disagree with me on this, but I have run into way, way, way more bad sportsmanship with adults than I ever have with kids.
Yeah,
by far.
Definitely.
I mean, there are some adults that just, I don't understand it. See, with a kid, I could tell the kid to shut up. I have control over him to a degree. Sit down, knock it off. But with adults, you just have to sit there and let them act like a spoiled baby.
Yeah.
And I mean,
do you want to mention any names?
No. You can go back and read my old game blogs. I wrote about one of them one time with an under-assumed name. So, but sportsmanship, I have a chronic cheater.
Yes. Tell everybody about Doom.
Yeah. Well, was it Doom? Yeah, because there was a scenario where you had to a certain amount of cards were discarded and the Marines would lose, and he kept adding a card to the stack every time I wasn't looking, and so it never ran out, or it ran out when I caught him. But other than that, and he told me he did it because he thought it was funny. I don't really run into a lot of bad sportsmanship, except for in Korea, sometimes the kids work together, and I have to remind them that it's a competition. Like, I'm going to give him $200 because he's almost about to lose. I'm like, no, let him die. The game goes on forever.
Yeah.
I would not play Monopoly with a group of Korean kids because they're very friendly and very cooperative and
a never-ending Monopoly game.
Oh, you let a Monopoly with two hotels, with the house rules. We'll let that one slide. but I'm like I said,
just give me your utility.
Kids have good sportsmanship, much more so than adults do usually.
I think question 2. How do you feel about the overall crop of games this year? I'm not saying that they are bad, but nothing so far seems to really shine out, and it seems like there's a lot of reprinting and retheming going on as well.
Well, so far, the ones that have we haven't played most of them.
No, we haven't. That's just
tomorrow we're going to play Louis the 14th, I think.
That one intrigues me.
And we played Ticket to Ride Europe, which I liked.
Blah.
And we played Shadows of Camelot, which I liked.
Blah. No offense, Days of Wonder.
Amazonas was good. I agree. I've liked a lot of games. None of them were standouts. Ticket to Ride Europe was a standout game, but Ticket to Ride was already a shining star, so it just added to it.
No, it took away from it.
Blah, 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 blah.
Ticket to Ride is better than Ticket to Ride Europe. It took all the game out of it.
Whatever. Anyway, so we can't really speak authoritatively on this. We usually don't play the new crop until after Origins.
But he's right. There's no hype. I don't see any game. There's no real game standing out.
Yeah, like the Spiel des Jahres. Who's going to win?
Who cares?
That's my response too.
I'm more interested to see who wins this other international gaming award thing.
Yeah. The IGA is always a big deal. Also, I was trying to tell Joe in chat before that I'd like to hear more discussion about games you got each other to play, even though it might not be your kind of game. It's one thing to hear someone talk about their favorite game and their favorite genre, but sometimes more helpful to hear about their favorite game in the genre they don't really like. You two seem to get each other to play games you wouldn't necessarily choose for yourself.
Okay, now that's not entirely true, is it, Tom?
No.
Tom will not play war games. Well,
No.
he will play. He'll play the simplified war games.
And in rare cases, I'll play them.
One time we played Paths of Glory.
Push to the wall. You know what? That's because I owned it, though.
It's because you bought it because it was on the top 10 list and you didn't even know what you bought. Tom's like, hey, Joe, you want to play this game? What's it about? World War I.
But, Jack, because of your question, Jack, we actually dedicated our top 10 list to you this time.
We did.
Joe's going to talk about his top 10 Euros, and I'm going to talk about my top 10 war games.
That should be interesting.
So we'll get to that later. Second last question is from John Farrell.
I'll read this one. Hi, Tom. I just listened to your first episode of the Dice Tower. Here's a question for you. When I choose games to buy, I read reviews on The Geek, particularly by you. Ooh. So how do you decide? Is there someone even more authoritative than Tom Vassell? If not, what criteria do you use to decide? Yeah, Tom's head is growing.
Ho, ho, ho.
It's not like Jabba the Hutt. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Anyway, no, Tom actually asked me, and I tell him what games to buy.
What's your name, scumbag?
No, I read reviews in my top secret super Yahoo group. I read all Rick's previews, Thornquist from GameFest.com. I read Shannon Appelkline from RPG.net. He's in my opinion, he's the best reviewer.
Yeah, his reviews are cool.
But a lot of times they're cool because he sticks pictures in them, which is pretty neat. It's a lot of work to stick pictures in your reviews, which is why I don't do it.
You can't spit out one a night, can you?
Not if I put pictures in them. But Shannon does do a good job. But I guess I just browse, and every once in a while I'll see a game that's like, oh, that theme just sounds really cool.
Tenjo.
And that's how I pick it. Nowadays, my games that I pick are normally determined by them coming in the mail.
Yeah.
Oh, a game showed up. Well, that's.
See, no, I'm more of a. You should have asked me because I'm more of a traditional person. I don't have people just mailing me games. I look at the ratings, on the standard deviation ratings. I look at games that have a lot of people that like them. And you know, when I click on a game, like let's talk about Board Game Geek. When I click on a game at Board Game Geek, the first thing I always look at is not the rating, not anything else. I always look at the personal comments. It's the very first thing I do. And then I look at the people who said really good things, and then I skip to the end, and I look at who said really bad things.
I agree. I do exactly the same thing because I look at the icons and the people, and because that's always fascinating to me to see who said it was bad and to say who said it was good.
Yeah, and I mean, and speaking about icons, all you guys without icons, you need to get off your tail and get an icon because I'm too lazy to read. I just look at icons, and if I see an icon I recognize, I'll read what it says. But, nothing against newbies. I mean, I was a newbie for a while. We need to get some icons, guys.
Joe's a Board Game Geek snob.
And I changed my icon, and I'm going to change it back as soon as this my werewolf game is over because people are already like, where's Joe? Because I changed my icon. I don't have my tank anymore. I've got a Gorn.
Speaking of which, no one else emailed me about changing my icon, so it stays.
You guys messed up.
All right, the final question. We had a lot of questions, which is good. Gives us lots of different things to talk about.
Sure.
It says, with the final Star Wars film just released, this is probably the last time this question will be relevant. Well,
we can hope not.
Yeah, well, we'll see. What's your favorite licensed Star Wars game? What game would you like to see rethemed as a Star Wars game, like the recent Star Wars version of Risk? Your favorite licensed Star Wars game?
I got two, and it might be the same two as you. One of them is the game that you mentioned last week.
Queen's Gambit?
Queen's Gambit. And the other one is the Star Wars CCG. I thought that was a really fun game.
That is hard. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick Queen's Gambit. I'll tell you a surprising one is Star Wars Stratego.
Yeah, I do like Star Wars Stratego.
I'm not a big fan of Stratego, but the Star Wars added just enough zing to make it a pretty interesting game.
And the first time I played, my wife kicked my tail, and I think tail's my word for today because I've said it like 10 times.
Tail. Oh, and we're talking about Queen's Gambit and Star Wars Stratego. And Queen's Gambit. Remember, we have to keep mentioning the names of the games?
Queen's Gambit.
So that when people come in and listen, they know what games we're talking about.
We're not giving someone a hard time who told us we need to slow down, but I guess in some other episodes we didn't mention the name of the game enough.
Well, here's a new segment for our show.
Excuse me.
This is Top 10 Lists That Never Were. Our Top 10 list for this week was going to be Top 10 Games That Cause Stress, But as we made our list, we found that they matched.
It's because
They were the same list.
It's because every time we have a stressful game, we're both involved. It's probably because of you.
So we picked the top 5 stressful games, and we're just going to go through them.
Yeah. Risk 2210, number 1.
And as I said in my review of it, I've never played a game of Risk 2210 where someone did not get outrageously, furiously angry. I've seen a pastor blow his fuse. I've seen Joe get mad. I've seen myself.
Tell him why I got mad.
I don't remember.
I knew. I got mad because it was the very first time I played the game, and I was completely annihilated before I got my first turn.
Well, I guess that's just superior playing.
Whatever. It's an unbalanced and broken game.
Yeah, it's not unbalanced and broken, but I do admit it causes a lot of stress. Next one is Game of Thrones. This one might be personal though, because just whenever Joe and I play Game of Thrones,
I think we need a new house rule. We have to be like, I'll be Stark next game, and you can be down in the bottom. What are those
the
guys?
green ones, the green guys.
Lovejoy? No, not Lovejoy. Man, I read all the books.
You're the guy who reads the books.
I don't even know.
Anyway.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is just for me and you. Other than that, I think it's a fun game.
I think there's some stress in it, though. I think there's stress in any multiplayer war game, like Samurai Swords, Risk, where people can team up and say, "Oh, why are you both attacking me? I'm not in the lead. He's in the lead. Why are you hitting me? I hate you. We made a promise."
Yeah, the stressful thing about Game of Thrones is when you flip over those tokens, and everyone's like, "You did what?" And then whoever's got, what is it, the sword? Not the sword. The who's the guy? What thing do you have to have so you can change one of your?
The Raven.
Yeah, whoever's got the Raven, they can like switch something around and stab someone in the back.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the best part of the game.
Tigers and Euphrates.
Oh man, I love to hate that game.
Yeah, I agree. I really, yeah, I'm going to talk about Tigers and Euphrates more, but it's really frustrating when you attack someone and you have 4 blue tiles and you're doing a blue conflict and you feel confident and they have 5.
Yeah. Or when the guy next to you keeps on attacking you for no reason when you know someone. I guess that's any game, I guess. Hello, newbie. Go attack the guy who's winning.
I don't think you're talking to me there.
No, I'm talking to someone, and you know who I'm talking to.
I don't. Diplomacy. Of course, I think diplomacy is a stressful game for anybody. I don't think it's possible to play a non-stressful game of diplomacy.
Played by email is not that bad.
Yeah, but even still, Joe will come to me and say, "You know what the guy in Australia did?" And
Australia?
Austria did.
What is that?
Yada, yada, yada.
Diplomacy Outback.
At least I got a bloomin' onion.
No, diplomacy can be stressful, and every time that I want to get under Tom's skin, or my friend Bob does, we just say, Fleet English Channel to Brest.
I think people are going to hear too much about that one game.
The day that you swore off diplomacy for the rest of your life?
Yeah. And the last one is
Twilight Imperium.
Twilight Imperium 3. Love the game, but because of the multi-attacking and the political maneuvering and the stealing
wormholes.
planets and the wormholes, everyone just gets mad at everyone else.
Yeah.
Maybe I should say Twilight Imperium 2 caused more stress than Twilight Imperium 3.
For our personal history, yeah. How many times did we start the game and never finished it?
More than we've actually finished. In fact, I think we made.
And we didn't stop the game because we ran out of time. Let me put it that way.
That's true. So those are our top 5 stressful games. We might be able to think of more if we sat around and thought longer. So let's move on to my rant of the day. Ooh, I love my rants. This rant is about playtesting. Now, it's split up into 2 parts. The first part is independent companies need to playtest more. You can't just have your mother and your father and your little sister playtest your games and then put them on the market. It just doesn't work that way. And so, but that's been said enough. So that's only a very small rant. My bigger rant is complaints against companies about their playtesting. I get really tired when I read on the internet, "I can't believe this was in the game. I can't believe they didn't playtest enough.
Did they playtest this?
Did they not playtest this? Yada, 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 yada." And I think, shut up. Do I say that in every rant?
You do.
Shut up. Because these companies playtest the game, but when you put the game out in the market, you have thousands of different people playing it. You have people like Joe playing it who are deliberately trying to break the game.
That's part of playtesting.
And find a thing. But, you're going to find stuff. It happens every time. It's very, very difficult to put out a game that has no problems.
Hey, during these rants, am I allowed to talk?
Yeah.
Okay,
you can talk.
keep going.
No, shut up, though. But people need to give companies a break. yes, some companies don't play.
Yeah, but when
enough.
you spend $50 for a game and it's broken.
But the games aren't broken. People just assume they're broken. I'm tired of reading about how games are broken. I don't need to go read Alex Rockwell's 10 articles on how to win a game. I just want to go to play the game.
But there's been times, you have to admit, there's been times when like what seems like an obvious thing is asked. It's not in the rules. You have no clue what you're doing, and you just have to sit there and say, "Well, I wish they would have."
1 out of 500 times.
Oh, come on.
No, games are play tested. That's my rant. Go design your own game and play test it. You people.
I'm trying to
complain.
design a game, but you won't play test it with me.
Well, we're going to mention that a little bit later.
This episode of The Dice Tower is sponsored by Guerrilla Games. Jeff Syedek's Lifeboat is the card game of survival adrift at sea with your secret love, your hated enemy, and a few other shady characters. Do you row for shore or squabble over water, jewels, weapons, and cash? Go to www.guerrillaboardgames.com to learn more from Guerrilla Games.
All right, so for my segment of the week, and I'm not going to do a soldier this week, I'm going to skip it up. I was jealous of Tom's rant, so now we're going to have Joe's rant. So, because I'm usually a nice, peaceful, very optimistic, easygoing kind of guy.
What's your name, scumbag?
I was going to say, actually, when we were thinking about this show, I was going to say, instead of Joe's rant, I was going to say Joe's praise, but I couldn't think of anything to praise. So anyway, my rant is English. I'm picking on Board Game Geek here, in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, because they're changing them.
The English names for German games. Come on, give me a break. This is a stinking English website, okay? If a game has a German name and an English name, why in the world would you list it in German? It doesn't even make sense to me. If you type in search and you know the German name and you actually know how to spell it, then it's going to come up anyway. But why not just put under the English name? Although I had one backfire to me today. I was looking for Finster Fleur or whatever it's called, and they changed the name. I couldn't find it in my database. It's called like Freaky Floor or something like that.
Figure some fours or something.
But anyway, that's only because I'm used to that name, and I think that's what it is. Is a lot of people are just so used to their German names they don't want to give up on their names. But when these new games come out, come on, this is an English website. Give these guys a break.
Right, and people say it's an international website, and it is an international website. People can contribute, but having one unified language does help out. Like, look what just happened. I could not find the name of this game because it was called Turn the Tide, but it was underneath Land Unter. And yes, that's the name it first came out under, but
this is an English website. If you go to a German website, do the games all listed in English?
Well,
I don't know. I don't go to German websites.
And
we could go to Board Game Geek.
Are we being English snobs here?
I don't think so. I mean, hey, I'm all for German games and whatever, Italian games. I don't care. But it's an English website. I can't say it enough. It's an English website. Get over it, people.
And I don't know. I'll be looking through my collection and I'll look and see, Zallenberg, and I'm what is that game? And Magic Hill and Hick Hack and Guaca Waka. That's Chicken Cha 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 or whatever. And it just helps me to see the English names. I'm not as ranting about it as Joe.
But it just gets. I mean, keep in mind, people are trying to make this some kind of political conversation or anti-foreign language or anything but English. Come on, it's just about convenience. It's about being able to find the game that you want to play.
Shouldn't you say shut up at least once? It's more like a rant.
Shut up, Tom.
All right, our mini reviews, and we gotta keep going here so that we don't get too long because then people will complain about it.
No, I was just reading somewhere where they're saying that the long pod chats are good because then you can go on a longer trip, and you can listen to us for hours.
Oh, how lovely!
Just like our wives, they love to listen to us. That's why
they don't listen to the show.
My wife does listen. She does it while she's at home. I think she puts on her white noise. It makes the kids think Daddy's home.
Where's Daddy? In the next room. He's on the radio.
He's talking to Mr. Vassal.
Okay, our mini reviews for the week. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to?
I can go first.
Go first. I don't always want to look like I'm going first.
Well, you're kind of a microphone hog. I'm glad we got two microphones. All right, I'm gonna do a review of a game that came out in 1997. So it's not a new game, and go figure, it's categorized in the database as a war game, but some could argue with it, and it's a well-known game. But I've actually had people telling me they'd never heard of the game, and I talk about it all the time. And the name of the game is Atlantic Storm. It came out in 1997. One more time, Atlantic Storm.
What was the name of that game?
Atlantic Storm. All right. Anyway, it came out in 97. Avalon Hill made it before they went belly up. And Don Greenwood, Ben Knight. It's a card game. It's a trick-taking game. Now, let me just, if you look in a database over it, it looks like a very simplistic game. Basically, the way the game plays is it's multiplayer. I think it's best with at least 5. 5 is a good number, maybe 6. And the person who's first will will flip over a card, which is you're fighting for convoys. And at the end of the game, whoever gets the most points, either through victory points or through convoy points, wins the game. And so there's an individual winner, but during each hand, the person who's first decides whether or not if he's going to play Germans or the Allies. And so if he plays Germans, and then what he'll do is he'll say that he's playing Germans and he wants to attack this convoy, and he can choose one of 3 suits. And there's 3, surface, underwater, and air. So he chooses a suit, and then he chooses the year. And there's 1940 to 1943, and so the other players then look in their hand of cards, and they will look at the cards, and if the cards they have meet the right prerequisites, which is being the right suit and the right year, they can then join that player to try to take the convoy. Now, the cool thing is that the other players who do not want to join him go against him. And so at the end, all the points are added up for the value of the cards that are played, and it goes around the table one guy at a time playing his cards down. Whoever wins, whatever team wins, the person who played the most points from the winning team, he gets to divide up the spoils of the battle. And the spoils are the convoy card plus any of the other cards that were used against them. So if there was Axis that won, then all the allied cards plus the convoy are divided between the people who played. And he can divide it any way he wants. And there's some rules on how he can divide and everything else. But it's a great game because it's a trick-taking game, but it really has a lot of diplomacy and negotiation with it. It's one of my good friend's favorite game. The guy loves the game. So does his son. It's kind of a father-son thing. And I was won over on this game, and I went out and bought it, and I got every single one of the cards in Card Protectors. I'm going to be playing at Origins. I'm going to GM it at Origins. If you go to Origins, I'll be in the War Room. I'm going to be running some games of this. It's just a real fun game. The game can take kind of long, some people say, but I enjoy it, and I think even Tom likes the game.
Yeah, I think it's a little long for what it is, but we play a variant where we only use half the cards, and then it's a lot more.
You have X amount of convoys, and you can always, if you wanted to, you could remove some of the convoys and therefore make the game shorter. But that's my mini review. If you want the game, you're going to have to get it off of Board Game Geek or off of eBay or somewhere that would sell or trade a game, because they don't make the game anymore. And they should re-release this. There was plans for a Pacific Storm, I heard, but that game never was produced.
I'm interviewing a guy from Avalon Hill right now. I'll ask him what the plans are for Atlantic Storm.
He probably won't know.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. My game is Mr. Bigshot by Courtney Tudor, I believe. I just got it a couple weeks ago, and it's already hit my nickel list for the year. It's nickel list, for those who don't know, is games that are played 5 or more times. It's worked out tremendous in my class. It's just basically hold your cards till you think you're going to win type game. Push your luck. Basically, everyone puts their piece on the board. It has a track. It's a roll and move game, I guess. You want to go from space 1 to 100, and then we pull out a card from a deck of cards, and it gives you a year, and then it shows you 2 companies. One is called Big, the other is called Shot.
I played this game.
Right, one's called Big, one's called Shot. It gives you all these little statistics on each company, the price of their shares and stuff, and I don't know, it was all gobbledygook to me. Then you pick, are you going to invest in Big or Shot? Each person turns over the card, and then you put the card in this special reader because it has this blue printing behind red printing, and so
decoder ring.
Then you read quarter one's results, and it will tell you how many spaces you go forward or backwards. You can either decide to move those spaces, and then you're out of that round, or you can hold for another quarter. So the longer you hold, maybe the amount of spaces you move forward go up, or maybe the amount of spaces you go backwards go up. So whatever company you've invested in, that company might do better. By the way, I'm talking about Mr. Bigshot.
Now let me stop you. These are real companies, right?
Right. At the end, it will tell you what the 2 names of the companies are.
Yeah.
And so some people are.
When I was playing it, I was using history, my knowledge of history, to try to help me influence
Did you win?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did win. But the kids absolutely love it because they sit there and go, oh man, I get to move 9 spaces forward. Should I pull out or not? Then the next turn, you move 3 spaces forward instead of 9.
It's like can't stop, right?
Like, how far are you willing to
your
push your luck? There's absolutely, I mean, unless you have all these companies memorized throughout history, there's really no way to do better than someone else.
Does all that gobbledygook have anything to do with the game, or is it just there for fluff?
No. It's really interesting. I asked her about it, and she said
the gobbledygook is like the S&P and all the different ratings from the stock market, all that kind of stuff. Gobbledygook.
Yeah, I don't know. But I really think it's a fun game. It's really fun. It's kind of like a party atmosphere. Push your luck, and it's not really that long because eventually someone will be on a space that gives them 4 times, and they'll get to move 12 spaces, like 48 spaces.
Yeah.
Woo! You know, and it's silliness. I guess it does remind me of Can't Stop to a degree, but it's a lot of fun. If you can pick it up, it comes with a computer version of the game, which you can play on your computer, and to me that's pretty neat to get a computer game and a board game, and it's not that bad of a price. I think it's $30 to get both games, which is a pretty good deal. Well, now we're going to go back to a segment that we did on our second episode, I believe, and that's our kangaroos and turkeys. And the name...
My name is Joey, so I guess that's Kangaroo.
And I'm Tom, the turkey.
You are a turkey.
Yeah, well, we'll start on the upwards note, and that's the kangaroos. Oh, I don't have my song loaded, so...
Oh, no.
So we'll just skip the kangaroo sound.
Yes, no kangaroo sound.
My Kangaroo is a game we talked about in our stressful games, and that's Tigers and Euphrates. You know, when Joe first... Stop that.
Was that the if you listen, you can hear the train going by.
Well, anyway, Tigers and Euphrates. Joe bought this game way back when we first got into games. I bought the highest rated game on Board Game Geek at the time, which was Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
Joe bought the second highest, which was Tigers and Euphrates.
I got the better end of the deal.
Yeah, but who owns the game now? Joe. One day, Joe and me had this massive trade.
Mega trade.
The mega trade, and I got Tigers and Euphrates, and he got a bunch of war games that I wasn't interested in and such. But anyway, when we first played it, I sat there and I did not quit because I hate quitting in a game, but I hated it. I really did. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was based on luck, red tiles and such. And I think I might have played it another time, and I still didn't really like it that much. But then Dirk and Aldi installed, I guess Aldi did because I don't think Dirk does work. But
well, come on now. You better lay off Dirk, man.
Well, I don't know. This is a way to see if he's listening or not.
Everybody. Come on, everybody.
So they installed an online version of Tigers and Euphrates, and I don't normally play online games, but I'm addicted to Board Game Geek, so I tried it out, and I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about the game. I found out that I was actually pretty good at it, and I started a winning streak that lasted for a while.
We let him win.
Until I played Bob a couple months ago in a 2-player game, and I lost by more points than I knew was possible. I think the final score was 24 to 12. It was really
everybody.
bad.
Don't tell everybody. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is. It was really embarrassing game, but it just got better and better. I still think it's really frustrating, and the game does not get a 10 because it's really frustrating when you get a hand of tiles that you think is good and someone has a better hand out of pure luck. But other than that, the strategies, the confrontation, it's just a really good game, and I like it a lot more than I used to.
So you're saying you don't like it because there's luck?
No.
I thought you were the luckmeister.
I think it's time for your turn.
The game that is my Kangaroo meaning a game I didn't like at first, but eventually got better and better every time I played it, is a game that's older than me. It was made in 1972. It's Quebec 1759. It's a Columbia game. It's a block game. It's one of their first block games, I'm sure. I think it is. It's a very simplistic game. And so the first time I played it, it's the battle for Quebec. And the first time I played...
Which is fascinating.
Okay, and so's Puerto Rico, okay?
Fascinating. I've always wanted to play the Battle of Quebec.
Shut up. I'm going to do a rant about Tom Vassell right now. Anyway, it's my segment, all right? Shut up. Anyway, the first time I played it, I walked away and I thought, that was stupid. I said, I thought like Tom, this game is worthless. Because it didn't make no sense to me because it's a secret deployment game and it's all about bluffing your opponent. The second time I played it, I thought, there is some strategy here. And then I played it the third time and I totally killed the person I played. And whenever I kill someone in a game, it makes me like it. But eventually, I've learned to really love the game. There's a lot of strategy in there. It's very light. You can teach some. I think the rules are 1 or 2 pages. You can teach someone to play it in half an hour or less. It's a good. What's that fancy term that you guys say over on your fancy website about games that you use to teach people?
Gateway.
It's a gateway game.
That's a good term. All right, do your turkey.
My turkey? My wife will kill me if she finds out my turkey for the week.
Well, I thought you just said she listened to the program.
Oh, that's right. Oh no, I can't go home. Tom, can I sleep at your place tonight?
No.
My turkey this week is Royal Turf, and my wife loves the game. The first time I played Royal Turf, a Nizia game, I thought whatever, but I thought it was kind of cool, kind of clever. I liked the little horses, and I was always putting my money on Earl Grey because I'm a Star Trek fan. I think Earl Grey hot. Patrick.
You're such a weirdo. He
calls
calls me a geek.
And I would just bet on whoever because I didn't care. And every time I played it, I've enjoyed it less and less. And now I just look at it and I go, ugh. And every time someone comes over to visit, my wife's like, let's play Royal Turf. And I'm like, oh, how about this game instead? So now she'll know the secret. When she listens to the show, I don't like the game.
but why don't you? I think you should wait and see the new face-to-face version of it. Maybe you'll like it better. They're adding some things to it.
What was the game that we played? That old 3M game that we played at Bob's. That was really
Win, Place, or Show.
Win, Place, or Show blows away Royal Turf.
Well, yeah, but it's a lot longer.
No, when you play Royal Turf with 5 people and you play all 3 rounds and everyone and you make a social event of it, it takes like 2 hours.
Well, I don't know. I've never played that long.
It's a game that just won't quit.
I like Royal Turf. I think it's a good game.
I don't understand the whole thing about making the last round worth double money. It makes the whole first 2 rounds seem pointless.
Yeah, but it lets you catch up. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, because in a Eurogame there has to be a chance for everyone to win, even on the last turn.
Anyway.
Am I wrong?
Not always.
Unless it's a really good game.
You can't catch up with Tigers and Euphrates if you're losing.
That's a good Eurogame.
That's probably in your list coming up, isn't it?
It probably is.
All right. My turkey is Atlantean. Atlantean is a retheming of a game. I think it's called Revolution, also by Kinesia, and it's made by Fantasy Flight. It's one of their small box games. And I wrote a fairly positive review, not a glowing review, on it when it came out. It's a 2-player game, but I just never got it back to the table. I just don't ever want to. I played it a couple times, and I thought, it's not too bad, but I really don't like it that much. It's basically placing numbers by each other, and it just feels like it can be solved because there's so few options. Now, it's kind of weird because I'm stealing one of the main concepts of it for my game design, which may never see the light of day.
It won't.
The game is finished, my game, but I submitted it to one publisher, and
it needs playtesting.
And they said no, and I said, oh.
It's gotta be play tested. That's all there is to it.
I did have it play tested.
By your wife?
No, I sent it out to 40 different people.
I'm just giving you a hard time, Tom.
Shut up! Anyway, we gotta get going here because our time is rapidly getting lower.
We still gotta do our top 10, so let's go.
So let's get into our top 10. My top 10 war games and Joe's top 10
Eurogames. Although some people would probably disagree that all my games are Eurogames.
Well, we'll start out with number 10.
Well, but first, before we start, I had a few little rules for mine. I don't know how he chose the word.
Well, you gave me my rules too.
Oh, that's right. I dictated to you what the rules were.
He did.
I couldn't choose any game because you know that Board Game Geek is like the Bible of board games, and so any game that was listed as a war game
Preach it, brother.
in the database, I could not choose.
Hallelujah.
Like Wallenstein, for instance,
Amen.
people said it was a Euro game. I was going to choose it as a favorite Euro game, but it's listed as a war game in a database, and so therefore it was disqualified, yada, yada, yada. All right, so anyway, the 10th game on my list, or my least, I posted a list the other day. It's the Euro games I hate least. Anyway, number 10 on that list, number 10 for me is Rebel Rally.
Not a Euro game. American. Richard Garfield, Magic the Gathering. America.
You're so Americocentric. Why is it not a Euro game? Okay, what's not this? Let's save this for a different day.
Mostly because it's not from Europe.
Well, who cares?
Okay, anyway, talk about why.
Okay, well, don't tell Days of Wonder that because they're like selling their games to the Euro market, aren't they?
Half their companies in France.
Oh, give me a break. Anyway, Rebel Rally is my number 10. I really think it's a good time. I mean, hey.
It is a great game, though.
Whether it's a Euro, we can talk about some other
Well,
time.
then I guess Joe will argue me. My number 10 game, even though it's one of my favorite games, Twilight Imperium 3. The reason it's number 10 on my war game list, and to all war gamers out there, I apologize, all my war games are light war games, but Twilight Imperium 3, even though it's one of my favorite games, I put it number 10 on this list because even though I really like the war game aspect of it, the main reason I like it is because of the political stuff involved and the exploration parts.
And the Puerto Rico garbage they put into it?
I love it.
TI2's better.
Uh,
All right, moving right along. My number 9 game is also debatable as being a Euro game. Now, this one's actually from Europe. It's designed and published by Europe, but they still say it's not a Euro game, and that's Formula Day.
American game.
American game.
You're 0 for 2.
It's French.
0 for 2.
Anyway, I like Formula Day. It's a good game where you're not necessarily eliminated unless you crash your car.
Ooh, we played the Mega Track one time.
Yes, we did. And don't get me going because I got ripped off.
Let's tell that story next time about
People will
Formula
enjoy.
Day.
People will enjoy that story.
Yeah, we'll have to remember that. I'll write that down here. Oh, I'm gonna throw this paper away. Never mind. My number 9 is Wallenstein. Again, one of my favorite games. And combat is such a. I mean, it's important, but it's not the all-ending thing, so that's why it's number 9. But the dice, I mean, the cube tower is such a cool concept. I really love that cube tower.
It's realistic too.
Yes, because in real life, what you do is you have all your troops jump into this big tower and they all fall down.
If you knock on the table with your elbow, then a bunch of stuff falls out.
But I will say that it's not as realistic as two guys getting together rolling dice to see who wins.
Come on. Without consulting a CRT.
I can't understand you. Do your number 8.
Okay, number 8 is a Martin Wallace game for me. It's Liberté. It's about France. Go figure.
You're 1 for 3. That is a Euro game.
That's a Euro game. I love Liberté because I just like pulling the Robespierre car and trying to kill everybody. No, I like Liberté. It's a good game. And Dirk, you need to play this game. All right? I heard once that you haven't played it.
What?
Broaden your horizons.
Dirk, this is a great game. Get on the ball and play
I can't believe you haven't played it, man. What kind of gamer are you? You've just been discredited, man.
My number 8 game is either Samurai Swords or Shogun. I'm not sure which because it's the same name for the same game. I don't like the game because of the little plastic swords or the ninja. It's just a fun game. It has the same problems Risk does where 2 or 3 people can gang up on one. But it is a cool war game, even though war gamers would sneer down at me for saying such a thing.
All right, cool. My number 7 is, I'll say the German name, Funkenschlagen. Well, Power Grid is my number 7. Great game. Every time we play it, it comes down to the last turn.
Didn't one person on your list call this not a war game? I mean, not a Euro game? DW Trip. I couldn't believe that. DW, I'm sorry, but it is not.
Just because it doesn't have.
It is a Euro game.
Just because it doesn't have resources that you trade with each other doesn't mean it's not a Euro game.
No, Power Grid is a Euro game. It's a tremendously good game.
You need little black and brown discs.
I didn't realize you liked the game that much.
I do like Power Grid.
Do you like the American side better or the European side?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I've only played each side once. I've played each side more than once, but I've never. I don't know. I just want to play it again.
Do you like playing with fewer players or a lot of players?
Fewer players who are smart.
Oh, get off that,
I'm not picking on
Hollywood.
any particular person. I'm just saying that.
My number 7 war game is Age of Mythology. And I have to admit that probably 50% of this is just the really cool miniatures. But I did like the combat system and how it was a paper, rock, scissors type thing.
Is that the game with no board?
Right.
Ugh.
And I will say, I think Age of Mythology could have been one of the coolest war games ever if it had a board. Don't you agree?
I totally agree. I won't even play it.
But even without the board, I like
traded
the combat.
I traded my copy away.
Well, your loss. All those cool miniatures.
Yeah. Anyway, number 6 for me is Chinatown.
Ooh.
My favorite negotiation game.
Someone reprint Chinatown so I can afford to buy it.
Yes. Otherwise,
so
I'm gonna steal it
expensive.
from Bob.
Yeah, when Bob leaves Korea, when Bob leaves Korea, he may not find
his hold baggage or his shipping baggage might get shipped to the wrong address.
My number 6 game is Dune. Dune it's the oldest game on my list. It's just I love the little combat wheel. However many troops you sent died, but they were added to your power, and there's little assassination cards. Yeah, Dune's probably more like Cosmic Encounter than it's like a war game, but on Board Game Geek, it's listed as a war game, so therefore I will treat it as such. Joe doesn't like Dune that much.
It's cheese. Anyway, because you call it cheese.
Cheesed. Oh, cheese.
Cheese. What's cheese in German?
I don't know, but in Korean it's cheese.
Cheese. Anyway, my number 5 is Reef Encounter because I love the theme. No, I just like the game.
I think you like it because it's like Tigers and Euphrates.
I like it because it's in-your-face confrontation. I can't believe you did that. I'm going to smack you upside the head game. And while I'm on that, do you know this guy, this Chatty Boy 2000?
No, but I think he's
He
right.
always is writing to me, man. That's my next week rant is Chatty Boy 2000. The guy
Our weekly rant against
what is
a
with
specific person.
What is this guy's deal, man?
I think he just wanted you to mention his name on the show.
I think so.
I think you're
like all my geek. He answered all my geek questions.
You're putting gas on the flames.
Every geek question, he put some stupid remark, and it's just like whatever, dude, man, get a life.
Well, all right. My next game is World and War. I mentioned this last week. I thought the combat system was really cool with the combined arms. Joe's not so sold on the idea, but I thought it was so cool game, and I hope to see more using that system.
It was a neat game.
You haven't criticized any of my choices yet.
I like all the games. Why would I criticize war games?
Well,
They're ultra light kiddie war games, but they are war games.
Okay. You had to get it out. Go ahead. Do your number 4.
My number 4 is a game that Eurogamers can't stand to admit is a Euro game.
It's a war game.
It's Lowenherz.
I know it's a Euro game, but it sure feels like a war game.
That's why I like it. And Lowenherz is much better than Domain, and I don't care what anyone says. If you took away the card aspect of the game and the whole bidding, that was a major part of the game.
I think Domain is easier to play. If I wanted a quick play game, I'd play Domain. If I'm playing with Joe, I'll play Domain. I like them both.
Last time I played Domain, I kicked everyone's butts.
Oh my goodness, I got destroyed in that game. What is wrong with me?
Now, Lowenherz is great, man.
I've never won either Domain or Lowenherz. I've never even come close.
Lowenherz and Domain remind me of Ticket to Ride Europe.
Number 4 is one of my favorite light war games because it brought me into gaming as a whole, and it was Fortress America. Someone gave it to me as a young teenager, and it just enthralled me, all the plastic pieces and the concept of defending America. And I love the eternal debate even now over, is the game balanced towards the invaders or America? Joe thinks it's balanced a little bit towards America.
Americans should win every time.
I think it's balanced slightly. I'd say America has a 52%.
Well, it's 3 versus 1, so if those 3 guys don't work exactly together, they're never going to win.
That's probably true. But if they do work exactly together, I think they have a good shot.
Yeah. Anyway, my number 3 is Manhattan. Yes, it's made by the same guy as Puerto Rico, Andreas, whatever his name is. Seaforth. But unlike Puerto Rico, this game actually has a point.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Shin wanted to know if you tried the monster variant. Have you?
I did once, and I didn't do it right, and so I thought it was dumb. So I'm gonna try it again. But I really like the game. I like the confrontation aspect of it. You know, you're doing your little subdivision over there, and for no reason at all, I can just slap a building down right over here just to tick you off.
I guess. I like it a lot, but I don't know if it's that much better than. Oh, I guess I like it. It's probably my favorite building game. What number are we on? Is that number 3?
That was my number 3.
Number 3 for me is War Angel. I really like War Angel. I have 50 different armies. It's from Angelo Perazzi in Italy, who's one of the most flamboyant people I've ever met. You know, he'll love, if you email him, he'll talk to you for a long time about his game and his games. And War Angel is a pretty neat game. Really cool artwork. I had to put some work painting the blocks and stuff. I can't believe I'm doing all this. It's a war game.
Tom actually is painting.
But it's really fun, and I haven't played it enough, and I've never played all the different combinations that you can play. But me and Joe are going to crack it open again one of these days.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. All right, moving along. Number 2 is a game that's been mentioned already, Tigris and Euphrates.
50 times in this show.
Or is it Tigris and Euphrates like English, or is it Euphrates and Tigris?
Reverse the show back to Joe's rant to see what he thinks about that.
Anyway, Tigris and Euphrates, man. When you get, and Tom will agree with me, I'm sure. You get 4 guys who've got a good clue of how to play the game. It's hard to beat.
I'll even take 3. I'll take 3.
Even with 3, but when
4 people.
One of my top 5 gaming memories, even though Tom won, which is a rare thing. So was me and you and Bob and Shin, who I think all 4 of us know the game, and I think all 4 of us are pretty good at the game. That was a good game. I mean, wow.
No, can't argue. I really like a good game like that, because the thing about Tigris and Euphrates is if you play someone who's new, it's hard to really destroy them, because you could really destroy someone if they're not
Although I will say
paying
that
attention.
Tigris and Euphrates is the hardest Euro game I think to teach, in my opinion. I can't.
It's up there to explain the difference between internal and external conflicts. Yeah. Number 2 for me is a little odd. It's Axis and Allies Pacific. Now, I think we played it less than 10 times, and I'm wondering if after maybe 10 or 15 times the game might start repeating itself. But it's just
Flawless strategy.
For me, one of the most fun parts of the game was of regular Axis and Allies was the ship battles.
Yeah.
And in Axis and Allies Pacific, that's almost the whole game, ship battles, and it's just really fun.
It's the best of the series, in my opinion.
You like it better than D-Day?
I do.
It's still fairly long, and Japan really.
I think Axis and Allies Pacific is the most strategic of the 4.
It's fun. It's a good game. If you're going to get one Axis and Allies game this summer, get Pacific.
Well, I don't know. I'm saving my money for Axis and Allies Catan. All right.
Our final game.
Number 1.
Number 1.
For me is another game that's a gamer's game, and if you say it's not a Euro game, you're nuts. It's Age of Steam. I just wow. I've got a pretty good. I think I've played it maybe 5 times, and I've won twice. So I'm not that good at winning the game, but every time I've played it, I've enjoyed it. Even the times that I've got my butt kicked, I just like the game.
I remember you winning one game.
Yeah, I won one game. I know I've won twice total out of 5.
Have you played the Korean map yet?
No.
Yeah, you have to try it sometime.
The Korean map looks great.
Game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the expansion maps. Well, I don't know, Ireland, one of them. No, Scandinavia was a hard map, but it's a fun game.
This is the game I'm trying to trade with someone. I want this game.
All right, and my number 1 game is Memoir 44. Now, see, will you argue with me on this one?
About what? Is it a war game?
Yeah.
Come on. Everyone says it. That's the biggest debate there is.
Well, I think it's
a
a war game. Well, I'm so looking forward to the expansions this summer.
Okay, I'll give you this, Tom. It's a war game when you play with 8 people, and only when you play with 8 people.
An 8-person Memoir 44 is a grand experience.
That is a war game, a light war game. But two player is not. 2 player is an American game, Euro game, whatever you want to call it game.
Well, I guess that's our top 10 list. Next week we'll do another top 10 thing, and eventually we'll get to that Origins preparation show. Origins is only a month away.
Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting. We look forward to seeing you there. I see there's an Origins thread on Board Game Geek that you can sign up and say that you're coming. Please look us up, play games. I mean, I'm there for 2 reasons: to play games and to find new games.
You'll recognize us. We'll have some kind of hat or
T-shirt or something.
Or everyone knows Tom's ugly face from that caricature of him.
That doesn't look like me. Well, anyway, I guess we better shut this down so that we stay in time.
Yeah.
Send us questions, comments. I mean, if you send us something, the chance of it getting read on the show is almost 100%.
Yeah, almost 100%. Matter of fact, it's 100% unless it's like vulgar or something.
Oh, if it's from Grognads, it's only 50% because it would have to be Joe who read it.
Oh, look, I went back to Geek Chat and no one's there still. Well, someone signed on and signed off again. Gone home.
Gnome home.
Gnome home. So.
Well, that's that. Thanks for listening. This is Tom Vassell.
And this is Joe Stedman.
And our show's called
The Dice Tower.
Let's see, I'll let you say the final words.
Well, there you go. Now, in this show, one game that we mentioned a tremendous amount was Tigris and Euphrates. And what's really interesting is I even mentioned it as a game that I didn't like a whole lot in the beginning, actually very much at all, and then I really enjoyed it. But you know what? Just for those curious, it has really nosedived for me recently. I still like it, but I can't get over the tile draws in the game. They drive me crazy sometimes. And it's just this past week, Joe, myself, Bob, and Shin, both of who we mentioned on the show, we got together for like a reunion match, played a 4-player game of Tigris and Euphrates online. And Bob won by a pretty good margin. I came in second. I was feeling pretty good, but me and Joe just attacked each other the entire game to pretty much probably both our detriment. And Bob sat there and just soaked up the points. It's still a tremendously well-designed game, but I'm finding that I'm liking it less and less. And in fact, when we played it, I said, I think this may be the last time I play this for a long time. Other than that, it was interesting how we both talked about how we weren't very fond of abstract strategy games. Since then, and this was, 2 years and 4 months ago or so, I've really come around to liking a lot of abstract strategy games. Yinch, Gemblo. I still would prefer a game with a theme. In fact, when I was making up my list of top 200 games, I think maybe there's 5 or 6 abstract strategy games on there, and I don't think any of them goes higher than 70 or so. I'm just not a very big fan of abstract strategy games. My wife wanted to know what that background baby crying was. It was actually, we were sitting in swivel chairs, so it was Joe leaning back and forth in his chair, and I guess it sounded like a baby crying. Anyway, this was a very fun top 10 list, but like I said, it would probably be changed in the future. Alright, well, let's get back to today's announcements. In 1 week, we will be having episode 106. We'll be talking about our top 10 games that have stood the test of time. We'll also be finishing up our contest for Battlelore. You have 1 week from this episode to enter that contest. Just email us at thedicetower@gmail.com and let us know what race you would like to see in Battlelore. They already have goblins and dwarves and humans, I suppose. What would you like to see? Would you like to see an ostrich race? Would you like to see fairies? I don't know. But, whatever you're interested, just send that to us, and you're entered into not only this contest, but all the contests for the rest of the year. Make sure you listen to the next episode, because if we announce you, you want to email us so that you can get your prize sent to you. We'll be starting another contest in that episode, and I think you're going to like this contest, but just stay tuned and pay attention. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Days of Wonder in the past, and now Guerrilla Games for this episode. If you're listening and you would like to sponsor the show, even if it's just for you and your family, please email me at thedicetower@gmail.com, and we'll set you up with that as we can. Anyway, this is Tom Vassell. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Signing out. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Dice Tower. Join us next week for episode number 106, in which we talk about our top 10 games that have stood the test of time. This episode's proud sponsor is Guerrilla Games, publishers of Lifeboat and the Battle Stations line of fine gaming products, including Galactic Civil War, Pax Galacticum, Pirates of Trundlia, and the Planet of Dr. Moreau, Starship miniatures, 15mm sci-fi miniatures, and much more to come. Battle Stations, are you a hero? I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been listening to The Dice Tower.